Anyone that says that it's a fair shake, it's not. Because I dealt with young African-American males in the prison that I was in that were not treated the same. They were denied programming. They were denied access to certain things. I was not denied that, but we know why I wasn't denied that. And so I think that that is a much bigger picture that we all as a society as a whole need to look at, that we are one.
This does not warrant an invite to the cookout. Because like my granny and them always said, you're not finna get rewarded for doing some shit you supposed to do. He supposed to acknowledge the inequalities in the system. Just think about it. How many folks look like us you think locked up for the same exact thing he was, but they waiting on commissary and a release date? We only represent about 14% of the general population. Our community represents 38% of the federal prison population. They both got pardoned, and I hope that when they rubbing shoulders with them Trump supporters, they're able to keep in mind that no matter how much them folks engaged in colorblindness, they seen the racial inequality for themselves.
When a white man calls out racial injustice in America, even his own folks start getting uncomfortable. Hello guys, welcome back to Trending Pulse Worldwide. My name is Amy. So that moment just happened because Todd Chrisley, yes, the reality TV star who was recently released from prison after a pardon by President Trump, is making headlines again, but this time not because of his legal situation, but because of what he said once he got out. So in a recent public statement, Todd opened up about something most people in his position avoid talking about: the way black people are treated in the prison system. And he said that during his time behind bars, he noticed a disturbing pattern. White inmates like himself were being offered better services, more support, and even access to programs that black inmates were being denied. And to be honest, a lot of black Americans are reacting to that with one word: exactly. So let's take a look at some of the responses, then I'll be back and we can have a talk about the entire conversation.
To watch Todd Chrisley at that press conference today talk about how he was in that federal prison camp in Pensacola, Florida, and he said he was locked up with hundreds of black men who were treated terribly, who didn't get the same treatment he did, that didn't get the same privileges he did, that hasn't seen their family in over 2 years, how the guards treated them badly, and how now he is going to fight to change the federal government prison system and bring awareness to the discrimination, the racism, and the unfair treatment in the federal government system of prisons. That made me cry, because for so long we have talked about, we have cried, we have begged, we have pleaded and said that the federal government and the jail system, the prison systems, are not fair, and they don't treat everybody equally and the same. They give people who do the same crimes different amounts of time and charges based off their skin color, and that's not fair. They don't take into account socioeconomic status, none of those things. People who commit domestic violence get less crime than non-violent offenders. And it's not right. I am so glad that Todd and Julie are home. I have belief since I read the court transcripts that they were innocent.
I'll be honest, I might have unfairly judged Todd Chrisley. When he said the feds got effed, I thought it was about arrogance. But when I heard what he said about the justice system, now I think I see it a little bit differently. But just hear me out. While he was serving time at Pensacola Federal Prison Camp, Todd said he noticed a major difference in how black inmates were being treated in comparison to him. He said young black men were constantly being denied access to self-betterment programs he was allowed into with no issue. And he even admitted, you know why, I wasn't denied that. So when he said the feds got effed, maybe it wasn't him being cocky. Maybe it was him calling out a broken system, one that dishes out harsh consequences based on race and class. It doesn't excuse everything, but it does give more context to that comment and more weight than I gave it before, or even gave him credit for. Honestly, I think this shows growth. He got a second chance, and instead of him running to the cameras, he's speaking out about what he saw behind bars. Because if someone with privilege is using their platform to say, hey, this system is unfair, we need to listen.
And I know Trump was not expecting Todd Chrisley to get up there and talk about the judicial system and how African Americans are not being treated fairly. kudos to him. Round of applause, because that's what literally having a voice and having privilege, that's what people are literally supposed to do. And it's like, yes, it may not make a drastic change right now, but talking up matters. Using your platform, using the fact that you have privilege to highlight what the hell is going on. Like, he's only been out about 24 hours now, and he's making sure he's getting to what needs to be said, okay? He ain't sugarcoating, and I'm sure Mr. President did not expect him to come. I'm sure he's looking now like, how can I take that pardon back? Because that's not what you're supposed to be highlighting. He wants you to be highlighting the, you know what, his little slogan that he be saying. But no, he's getting up there and talking about how in the judicial system that African Americans are not getting the same privileges or not getting the same resources that are in the jail system, in the prisons, and that's something that needs to be talked about. Because when African Americans come out and they say it, it's just like, boo-hoo, so what? And now someone else is getting up and using a platform to make sure what needs to be said is said.
So Todd Chrisley gave a press conference yesterday. His first press conference, his first interview, whatever have you, since being pardoned and released from prison. During the press conference, Todd Chrisley stated that he was granted access to things in prison that blacks were denied access to. Well, Todd, I tell you what, imagine you being locked up in prison, and us being out here free, law-abiding black folks, right? And we are denied access to fair housing, fair health care, fair employment, etc. And we haven't broken any laws. And the folks that are inside of a prison, they are denied access to things that they should be granted access to. But Todd, you ain't telling us nothing that we don't deal with on an everyday basis, man, because we dealing with it out here. I'm glad you got to see it for yourself in there, but we deal with it twice as much on the other side of those walls, and we haven't broken any laws. So when you go down there to your visit on Pennsylvania Avenue, maybe you should tell the person that's in charge about how your experience was. Because in there, you experienced that, we're experiencing it twice as much. And we haven't broken any laws. We're law-abiding citizens, and we deal with stuff on a daily basis.
What's striking about this reaction is how familiar the story sounds. And for years, black folks have been saying that the justice system, and especially the prison system, doesn't treat everyone the same. But when someone like Todd says it, someone who benefited from that unequal treatment, it forces people to pause. And he wasn't making it about himself. He was calling out the imbalance. And that, honestly, it's rare, especially from someone who could have just walked away and said nothing. But of course, not everyone is applauding. Some people, especially from his own background, are clearly uncomfortable, and they feel like he's turning his back or making things political. And you know what? It takes guts to speak out, especially when you know it might cost you the comfort of your own cycle. And Todd had the choice to keep quiet, to protect his image, to avoid backlash. But instead, he told the truth, and it lines up with what so many black Americans have experienced and spoken about for decades. And do we wish more people would speak up like this? Absolutely. But we also have to ask, why does it take someone with privilege to say it for it to be heard? That is what is hitting people the hardest. The fact that it takes a white man confirming what black folks have been saying it all along, just to get a conversation started. But maybe, just maybe, it's a start. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about this conversation. And before you go, guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe for more conversations that matter right here on Training Pulse Worldwide. So until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and keep the dialogue going. I'll see you in the next video.